Hello guys, and welcome to my Cambridge English First, or B2 First, FCE exam speaking paper video course. In this lesson we're going to be focusing on part 2 of the speaking paper. So let's have a look at the question types in the speaking paper quickly. There are 4 different parts. You might want to pause this video and have a quick look at these in more detail, but we're going to continue on and look at part 2, long term, which is where you are talking about photographs for 1 minute by yourself. And in the rest of this lesson I'm going to show you the best tips and technique to use for this part of the speaking paper, and then I'm going to show you how to use this strategy with some practice examples from old sample exam papers. And this will really help you to prepare in the best way for the exam. So in part 2, how many photographs do you need to talk about? 2 photographs. And how long do you need to speak about them? You need to talk about the photographs for 1 minute, continuously. And do you do anything else? Yes. You do the speaking exam sitting next to another candidate, or sometimes 2 other candidates. When your other candidate talks about their photographs, you need to listen to what they say, and when they finish, the examiner will ask you a question about the other candidate's photographs. So you need to listen to what the other candidate says and then respond to a question about this from the examiner. And your answer to this question should last for about 30 seconds. So time for my first tip. There's one question which is always written above the 2 photographs. What you need to do is to try to focus on answering this question. Do not get distracted describing the photographs. The task is not to describe the photographs, it is to answer the question. So, if you open this sample paper here, if you type this web address into your internet browser, for example Google Chrome or Mozilla Firefox, you will see a web page which looks like this. And what you need to do is to go down page 1, page 2, page 3, all the way to page 4, and you will see 2 photographs which look like this, with a question above them. And I have copied these photographs here. And these are what we are going to use in our practice exercises. But before we get onto that, here is a quote from the Cambridge English First Handbook for Teachers. And it says, candidates are expected to point out similarities and differences between the photographs, and then move on to deal with the question, answering it with reference to both photographs. So do not describe what you see in the photographs, but talk about the similarities and differences between them, and then focus on answering the question above. And here's my second tip. It's important to compare the photographs as much as possible. So, you should try to talk about the similarities and differences between the photographs. You should mention one thing about one photograph and then compare the same point with the other photograph. So think of one idea about the first photograph, or the photograph on the top, and then think, how can this same idea apply to the next photograph below. When you mention one thing about one photograph, immediately after mention the same thing about the other photograph. And this allows you to have a balance between the two photographs, which is very important because a lot of students end up just talking about one photograph for the whole minute. And this is not what you want to do. You need to show the balance. So think of one point for this photo and the same point for this photo, one point for this photo, the same point for this photo, etc. Okay, time for my third tip. You should practice this with a friend or someone you know. So tell your friend or someone you know or a teacher, and you can do this with me if you want to by clicking in this web address into your web browser and filling out the form, and then I will get in contact with you about lessons. But you should tell this person to give you 2 photographs and a question above the photographs, and make sure that they time how long you are talking for. So make sure that you do not speak for more than 1 minute. And the more you can practice this before the exam, the more confident you will feel when you need to speak continuously for 1 minute. So, let's practice this. What I'd like you to do is to open this document again, which you can do by typing this web address into your internet browser. And when you've done that, you can scroll down to this page here and you can have a look at the 2 photographs. It might be easier for you to see it in your internet browser in a different web page rather than on my slide here, but you can just look at the question and the 2 photographs here if it's easier for you. So pause the video now, try and answer the question, write down a similarity and a difference as well, and when you're ready, press play. Okay, so hopefully you've done that. So let's have a look at what I wrote down. I wrote down one difference is that the person in the top photograph is probably enjoying spending some time alone, whereas the people in the bottom photograph might be enjoying some time with their friends or families. So, I'm answering the question here, and I'm also talking about a difference between the 2 photographs. I'm also speculating about the 2 photographs, using words might be and probably, because I don't know if this is definite or not. And speculating is very important for this part of the exam. And I'm using a linking word to show the difference between the 2 photographs and to show that I'm comparing the 2 photographs. And these types of linking words are also very important in this part of the exam. So time for tip number 4. Remember to listen to what the other student says about their photographs in the exam. Why? If you can't remember, it's because the examiner will ask you a quick question about the other candidate's photographs. And tip number 5, you should think about some general topics beforehand which you can use for different photographs, for lots of different photographs. Some general topics that you can put with these 2 photographs or with any other 2 photographs. For example, you could think about the advantages and disadvantages surrounding money, how much something costs. This can apply to lots of different situations. So if you are in the exam and suddenly you freeze and you don't know what to say, you can think, okay, what general topics could apply? Money could be one of them. So in this photograph, this activity costs a lot of money, whereas in the other photograph, this activity doesn't cost any money, for example. Another general topic could be talking about the environment. The environment can apply to lots of different situations and lots of different photographs, as well as whether the people are alone or whether the people are in a group with friends or family. Look at whether the person is alone or not alone. This is the type of general topic that could apply well to lots of different photographs as well. So again, if you're stuck of things to think of in the exam, make sure you've got a few things like these topics in your head beforehand. So if you don't know what to say, okay, how does expense or money apply to these two photographs? And it gives you more confidence and it can help you to carry on speaking if you get stuck. So, for homework, what I'd like you to do is to find at least 2 other photographs, but try to find lots of photographs. The more photographs you can find, the better. Then, with these 2 photographs, think of a question that you can write down above them. And then, what you should do is to try to practice talking about these 2 photographs for 1 minute with a friend or with someone you know, or even with me, with a teacher. And make sure that this person gives you feedback. So talk about 2 photographs and a question to someone you know. Tell them that you need to compare the similarities and differences as well as answering the question. And ask them to give you feedback, to tell you how you can improve your answer. Okay, and if you buy a good course book, for example this one, if you type this web address into your internet browser, you will find lots of really useful practice exercises in this course book, which you can practice with. Alternatively, you can practice this with me by booking some live lessons with me. And if you want to do that, you should type in this web address into your internet browser and complete the form, and then I will get in contact with you about my live lessons. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this video, and in the next video lesson we are going to be focusing on part 3 of the speaking paper.